Why do you think people engage in premarital sex?
There are so many people who try these sexual activities at once, just once a time. But then addiction takes place and then they are addicted to it. Once you're addicted to something, the need for it becomes persistent and they won't stop until you get what it wants. So I believe that addiction is one of the reasons why people engage in sexual promiscuity. Thank you.
So as young as we are and then as we are growing, we want to try out new stuff to satisfy our curiosity.
For survival.
Okay.
You know, most people come from broken homes and then poor families. So once a guy walks up to her and then says, I like you, and then she agrees, you know, the guy starts providing for her. So once the person says, I want sex from you, it's not possible for her to say no. Like, because she knows that the very moment she says no, all the provisions will stop, he will stop taking care of her and then she will go back to zero. So for me, I think survival is one of the reasons why most ladies engage in premarital.
Let's bear this in mind. When you get the infection, the man in our way no, and to me and so you need to protect yourself so that you don't get the infection. And we are saying that if you know that you cannot abstain, then do what? What do you have to do? Okay.
During sex, wow. Tia na me ti he like ye fete. Na ebia esala ye ka STI no. Na ebia first say boy no. Do be ni me use condom but like na. I don't say
Okay, so Aunt Olivia, clearly this lady seems to give the vibe that she is sexually active. In the and I'm suspecting it's onion because of her body language and all. But other ladies also said a lot of interesting things. They said they indulge in sex because of survival. They do that because of peer pressure. They also do that because they feel it's the normal thing. If everyone is doing it, then the mommy is strong. I didn't know what's a man.
Sefayono is empowering the youth to be able to negotiate for safer sex.
Fantastic.
And now, if the youth know that if you have sex without condoms, you can get an infection, and then you can get pregnant, then they will want to use the condoms. That is why this campaign. And so we know that the youth, from what we hear from them, they sometimes are afraid of the pregnancy because that one is what is in front of them and everybody sees. So they will want to use other ways to protect themselves from getting pregnant. And those ways don't help them to protect themselves from STIs, including HIV. And so we are saying that if you use the condoms, then you have double protection. You are protecting yourself from unwanted pregnancies, and then you are also protecting yourself from getting infections. And that way, you have your peace of mind. We are saying the youth, we know you are in school. If you are in school, you are there studying. And so you need your peace of mind to study. So to get your peace of mind, we are saying, if you can't abstain, we are not insisting you should go and have sex, but we are saying that for those who are sexually active, if you can't, that is, if you can't abstain, then share fire.
Fantastic. I think Aunt Olivia, you said it all. One, you said if they can't abstain, they should obviously wear the condoms. And two, you spoke about pregnancies, teenage pregnancies. It's an issue in Ghana now. In fact, I read somewhere that 60% of all unintended pregnancies end up being aborted. What that means is if 100 people are pregnant, 60% of them will abort. 100 people end up getting pregnant, 60% will abort it. That is an unintended pregnancy. Now 60%, that same article I was reading also said, majority of those abortions are done in unsafe areas. My issue is, if we are going to go through all these, why don't we just forgo all the risk of getting pregnant in the first place, paying for the kid or the abortion to be for the pregnancy to be aborted, and going through other complications. Why don't I just wear the condom? And like when we started, I said the pleasure part of sex is still there when you wear the condom. The use of lubricants is one. And there are other styles. So you said something, we should learn. And that's what the Sheffield Diaries is all about. We want to learn. Yeah, we want to learn. We need to learn as a people how to have sex. Because we don't know how to have sex.
You see, the interesting thing is, in this work, there are occasions where we go around, maybe Valentine's Day, or and then we decide to distribute condoms. And then we meet people and they tell us interesting things. You are the people encouraging the young ones to have sex. And I tell them that no, we are not. We are just trying to educate people to have safer sex. And sometimes one interesting thing about parents, you see, Obia feels ne buy.
Yeah.
Obia feels ne buy. Obia feels ne bad. Hey, on have sex. And sometimes so maybe who need to say I say I share and ne say they are not having sex. We go to the tertiary schools and they come to us and we have discussions with them. And I can bet you, our children, you never know. I have two in the house, and you never know what is going through in their head at any particular time. So as parents, I'll say that as the NGOs, the Ghana AIDS Commission and other organizations are trying to educate the youth, the children, we as parents also should take it upon ourselves to do same in their houses. You think they are not listening, but they are listening and they are hearing. And it will come in handy. When the person wants to have sex, they will remember that my mom, my dad told me that I should use a condom anytime I want to have sex. So we shouldn't always be saying that no, we are quadabone, no, we are quadabone, no, we are quadabone. Whether we like it or not, we've been youth before. Oh yeah. And we know what happens in that age. And so we should just step up
and do the right
and educate our children.
You said something about the youth already having sex. We went to a school during this sensitization drive. I think that was in 2021. It was an SHS school, and SHS, and believe you me, we were shown a list of female students in the school that were pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. No. They are above 10. Over 10. And we also went to another school and it was even nasty. 2 young boys had sex with a single lady. According to them, they sought permission from the lady. It was consensual. It's mind-boggling. The kind of things this generation is doing. And in our time, you hardly heard those things.
Yeah, I know that when we were in school, you'll be there and you hear that your roommate has narrowed you. So
narrowed me. Or do you
get to the room and there's somebody there, so you have to go and find somewhere and hang till they finish. But now, they are not just narrowing themselves. They are in the room there and they have put cloth around the bed and they are having sex with the other roommates in the room.
Can you imagine?
Yes, so this is what is happening now. So, and peer pressure is there. So you are seeing your peers having sex, and it's almost like sometimes if you are not having sex, then you are
Kolo
when you be we are
1980.
They are all trying to explore and experiment. So we need this campaign is very, very necessary, and we need to teach our youth, because the estimates that Ghana AIDS Commission brought out, over 5,000 youth new infections were youth. That is between the age 14 to 15 to 24 years, and this is the future. And we know HIV, we don't have a cure. We have treatments, we have medicines for it. But I will say that why won't you protect yourself? Even malaria, we have a cure. But why do you want to get the malaria before you get a treatment? I always advise that prevention, as we know, is better than cure. So let us protect ourselves from having the infection. But if you, one way or the other, you are infected, then we say that go to the hospital. And we are talking about the abortions.
Abortion.
Because maybe you get pregnant and you don't even know where to go and have a safe abortion. So don't get pregnant at all. Use the condom so that you don't get pregnant at all. And condoms are cheap.
Way cheaper than STIs.
Yes, they are cheap. So
way cheaper. They are way cheaper.
Let us use the condoms.
Well, viewers, you heard it all. First of all, we all have a role to play when it comes to the sensitization. We also have a role to play when it comes to prevention of certain sexually transmitted infections like HIV. So for instance, if I know party A is infected and he's a friend, he confided in me, I don't need to stigmatize against such a person. Because if I do, he would not open up and even seek treatment. Why would need more catch or cry or threaten? Any abundance soon need no catch or anything. So, Aunt Olivia, stigmatization, how does it affect the work you do, and how would it even impede or erode the successes Ghana Youth Commission and other NGOs like Proactive have chalked over the years?
And stigma is what's not known, it will be so. And we stigmatize people for a lot of reasons. HIV related stigma, who say HIV, so when we see that somebody is positive, then we start stigmatizing the person. The interesting thing is, when you didn't know the person's status,
you were okay.
You were talking with the person, eating with the person, doing everything with the person. But the moment you get to know the person's status, then you start running away. But you know, we always say that eating together, talking, shaking, hugging, shaking hands, working in the same environment, staying in the same, using the same buckets, washroom, toilets, bowls, you are not going to get the infection. The only way you are going to get the infection is if you have sex without condoms. So instead of us not protecting ourselves and having sex, let us rather remember always to share fire. And stigma, what stigma does is it prevents people from testing even to know their status. Because some feel that any time, but one thing with HIV is even if you don't test to know, one testing one sure cry, it drew say a free HIV stage now. Now call 8 stage now, you will move to the 8 stage. So whether you test or not, when it gets to the time you move. So it's very important that we all test to know. Stigma also prevents people from going for treatment for HIV. And sometimes even when they will go for treatment, the medicines are free. But then the person, instead of going to a hospital that is close by, will want to go to a far away place where people don't know him or her to take the treatment. And these are some of the barriers. So it now brings, though the medicines are free, financial barrier, because the person needs money to go to. Some from the north go to the south. Some from Kumasi will go to the north, will go to Accra for medicines.
Because of stigma.
Because of stigma. And stigma makes people also reject people living with HIV, sometimes relatives. The person is living with you, the person is not going to give you the HIV. The main mode of transmission that you get from one person is unprotected sex. And then we have mother-to-child transmission. Our HIV, and 15%. Until 80% in a sex, until 5% in a pandia needle sticks near idea. Until stigma. People, when they see that their relatives are even positive, they tend to neglect them, abandon them to their fate. But we know people who are positive, who have been on medications for 20 years, 30 years, and they are still living.
Healthy lifestyles.
Healthy lifestyles. They are okay. So we should stop the stigma. And even now, the Ghana AIDS Commission Act 2016 criminalizes stigma.
Okay.
So if somebody, you stigmatize against somebody and the person takes you on to the law courts, you face being penalized, charged, and or even going to prison for up to 3 years.
Imagine going to prison because you stigmatize against someone. And then
Until you should stop the stigma.
All right.